never expect that it will happen in front of your house.
Candace.
Y'all think so? Hopefully.
Tango.
No, le iba a decir a mi amigo que venga, que ya...
Están las llaves. Ok, gracias.
Northwest on Granville Drive, Fort Mallory Drive.
Hey, you need help? Sir, you need help?
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Let it go! Let it go!
Wow.
Paperwork with you, you're fine. Go this way.
On September 7, 2025, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security announced a sweeping new campaign called Clean Up Battalions. a large-scale enforcement push aimed at tackling illegal immigration-related crime in America's major cities. Almost immediately, it became one of the most polarizing stories of the year. Spearheaded by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and endorsed directly by President Trump, the campaign sent waves of DHS agents, ICE officers, CBP units, and other federal task forces into urban hotspots like Chicago, Los Angeles, and Houston, cities flagged for cartel-linked activities and networks tied to undocumented immigrants with criminal records. DHS said the campaign was focused squarely on individuals accused or convicted of serious crimes, drug smuggling, human trafficking, gang violence, and sexual assault. But as images of raids poured across social media, the narrative took on a life of its own. On X, the debate was instant. Some posts praised the aggressive crackdown, while others accused DHS of unleashing chaos in neighborhoods. Reports circulated that armed migrants were killed during confrontations, igniting heated arguments over whether the operation represented justice or a humanitarian crisis. According to an official DHS report released on September 9th, cleanup battalions had already led to over 1,500 arrests, including 214 individuals with charges ranging from child sexual assault and kidnapping to high-level narcotics trafficking. The scale of drug seizures alone was staggering. 200 pounds of fentanyl, 3,000 pounds of methamphetamine, and 500 pounds of cocaine confiscated in the first 2 weeks of September. Narcotics with an estimated black market value exceeding $50 million. Officers also seized 1,500 fake IDs and passports used by criminal networks and rescued 45 human trafficking victims, including 12 children pulled directly from the U.S. foster care system. Yet alongside these victories came deadly incidents. One of the most widely discussed cases occurred in Chicago on September 5th, when an undocumented migrant named Narciso Barranco allegedly attacked a CBP officer with a weed whacker, fled across an intersection, and continued to swing the weapon before he was fatally shot. DHS insisted the officer acted in self-defense and followed protocol, but human rights activists described it as excessive force. On X, DHS's own account declared, Operation Midway Blitz will flood the zone with DHS law enforcement in Chicago. POTUS Trump and Sec Noem have a clear message. No city is a haven for criminal illegal aliens. A post that fueled both applause and outrage. Reactions to Barranco's death illustrated America's divide. One user, Justice for All 2025, wrote, "Good job, DHS. Criminals like this don't belong on our streets." While another, "Human Rights Now, blasted shooting migrants in the streets? This is not justice. It's chaos, demanding transparency and accountability." DHS later confirmed at least 3 lethal force incidents in September tied to cleanup battalions, including another in Los Angeles where a migrant allegedly drew a gun. All cases are under review by CBP's Office of Professional Responsibility and the FBI, with promises that body camera footage will be released. By the numbers, the campaign's results were undeniable. More than 1,500 arrests, 80% involving serious criminal charges, huge quantities of drugs and counterfeit documents seized, and dozens of trafficking victims freed. DHS pointed to its 2025 Homeland Threat Assessment, which concluded that Mexican cartels like Sinaloa and CJNG control 90% of the illegal drug supply into the U.S., and that fentanyl alone is fueling over 100,000 overdose deaths each year. Officials said the cleanup battalions were a necessary strike at these transnational networks. But critics pointed to the human toll, noting that the Southern Border Communities Coalition has tracked at least 10 deaths linked to CBP confrontations this year, with 3 in September alone. Amnesty International and other rights groups demanded reforms, better officer training to reduce lethal encounters, and greater transparency in DHS reporting. Social media reflected that split. Patriot Voice USA wrote, "Finally, DHS is taking action against these criminals. No more sanctuary cities." While equal justice for all countered, cleanup battalions? Sounds like a war on migrants, not justice. Where's the humanity? Even the media revealed stark contrasts. Fox News praised the operation as a major victory against cartels, while CBS News highlighted public concerns about lethal force. Beyond law enforcement, the campaign carried economic and social ripples. The U.S. Treasury reported that cartel-linked crimes launder an estimated $5 billion annually through casinos and businesses, and September alone saw over 1,500 suspicious activity reports tied to Mexican cartels. Cutting into these networks weakens the flow of dirty money, DHS argued. Socially, the campaign brought relief to some neighborhoods, but fear to others. While victims of trafficking were rescued, immigrant communities expressed anxiety, with advocacy groups warning that vulnerable families are retreating into the shadows. Nonprofits like ECPAT USA urged more resources for victims' mental health and reintegration. While HHS data showed that over 60% of U.S. trafficking victims are women and children, many drawn from the foster system, DHS is also investing in new technology, announcing in July 2025 that AI would be used to detect fake IDs at the border, and has expanded cooperation with Mexico, extraditing 30 suspects in September alone and dismantling joint smuggling operations. Still, experts from the International Crisis Group warned that drug violence in Latin America remains a root driver, and only economic support for struggling regions will address long-term supply. In the end, cleanup battalions produced undeniable enforcement wins, mass arrests, massive drug seizures, and lives saved from trafficking, but it also sparked fierce debates about lethal force, due process, and America's balance between national security and human rights. To supporters, it's proof that Trump's America is finally serious about shutting down cartels and restoring law and order in cities. To critics, it's evidence of a militarized campaign that risks eroding freedoms and endangering lives. Either way, September 2025 has proven that immigration enforcement is no longer confined to the border. It is now a full-scale battle in the heart of America's cities, and the question of how far the U.S. will go in the name of security remains one of the defining issues of our time.
The FBI and DEA together seized approximately 750,000